Hello friends, welcome to ADO.NET tutorial. In this sub-series, we are talking about SqlCommand and its methods. Now we are at the final part of this sub-series, and in this specific video, we will explore how to use the ExecuteScalar method. SqlCommand method. SqlCommand offers the method ExecuteScalar to fetch single value from the database. So that's important here. So if that's the case, you can use the ExecuteScalar method. Usually when you are designing the front-end application, you know what query we're going to execute, and if you know that the query returns single value, then you can go for the ExecuteScalar method. The return value is an object, and hence we should typecast the value. So even if you know that the return value is single value and that single value is an integer, ADO.NET may return, or this ExecuteScalar may return single value, but it can be anything. So in one case it may be integer, or in one case it may be a float, or in one case it may be a string, right? That's why the ExecuteScalar method will return an object, and you have to typecast that object to the required value. Command text property can hold a query which will return a single value. If the SQL string returns multiple cells, so for example, if you accidentally executed a select query that returns rows and columns of data, ExecuteScalar will pick cell at first row and first column. That means it will pick this specific value, because what you are executing is ExecuteScalar, right? So it will pick a single value and represents that as an object. So make sure your query returns a single value, and then execute that query with the ExecuteScalar method of the SqlCommand object. ADO.NET provides this method so that we can avoid the cost of creating the data reader object. Data reader object is costly, right? So by making use of ExecuteScalar, you can simply return one single entity of type object and avoid data reader. ADO.NET provides this method so that we can avoid the cost of creating the object. We can avoid the cost of creating the data reader object just to read single value from the DB. Right? We know that it's single value, so we can use scalar method, ExecuteScalar method. Here is the sample. We are creating the SQL connection from pubs connection string, and we name that as connection. Then we create the command object from the connection, and we call that as command. Then we are setting the connection, and here if you see, select title, you can see we are selecting only one column from title, where title ID equal to PS2101. So this is title ID is actually a primary key. So here in where condition we involved a primary key based selection. So we know that this will return a single record but may have multiple column. But in the column filter, if you see, we are picking only the title. That means the designer of the query knows that it will definitely return a single value, right? And they know the data type of this title as well. Alright, here connection is ready, command text is ready. We are making call to connection.open, and we will use command.ExecuteScalar. Since we know that it returns object and the data type is string here, we are typecasting it as a string. And if you see txt display, that's our multi-line text box, append text method. To the append text method, we are forming the string, and to this string we are directly executing the ExecuteScalar method. Right, the returned string, we are appending it here. Book name for the ID PS2106 is whatever is returned by this query. I mean book name for the ID PS0. So ID is given and we are displaying the name. And here if you see command text, we are changing the command text. Previously the command text is select title, right? This time select count of title ID as CNT. So here we are using the alias name from titles, same table, where type equal to traditional cooking or TRAD cook. Right, here we specify the book type and want to know how many such a book exist. Select count of title ID. You can put any column you want, but here we are using the aggregate, so we definitely know that it will return a single value as CNT from titles where type equal to traditional cook. TXT display append text. Right, we are appending the text content to our multi-line text box. Total book in traditional cooking type. Once again, we are using command.ExecuteScalar. Here also we executed it. During that time, we know that return data type is string, so we typecasted the return value as string. Here, since we know that we are doing the aggregate call here, aggregate function call, we know that it will return single value of type integer, right? So we use int32 as the typecast here. Here it is string and here it is typecasted as integer. And in the append text, we are putting a meaningful text stating total books in traditional cooking type, the return value of this query execution. All right, now let's go to the demo, and in this example we changed the command text and executed the query twice on the same connection object. Alright, now let's go to the demo. So now we will go back to the design and double click on this ExecuteScalar. And this is the code we pasted. You can download the code from video description, and so we don't want to reiterate typing this stuff repeatedly. Alright, here we opened the connection by giving the pubs as the connection string. After that we are creating the command object from the already created connection, and here is our first query text. Right, connection, if you see, we just opened once, and we are executing the ExecuteScalar. Here ExecuteScalar will make use of the command text, select title from titles where title ID equal to PS2106. Next time we are changing the command text, right, and making call to ExecuteScalar once again. This time, since command text is changed, it will execute this second query. Select count title ID as CNT from title where type equal to traditional cooking. Right. Now we will rebuild this solution and run it. So if you see now, because of ExecuteScalar and two different command text, we are having two different results here. And the execute scalar will return only one value, right? Let's look at PS2106. PS2091, PS2106. So here it is, PS2106. We are giving the ID and taking the title, and title is displayed here, Life Without Fear. So that's the book for this specific ID. Also under traditional cooking category, and we can go for order by type. And you can see there are 3 books under traditional cooking, and that's what displayed here based on the aggregate type. Total books in traditional cooking type is 3. So these 2 results are achieved using the ExecuteScalar. In the first case, we know that there will be only one record because we are creating the where condition based on this primary key PS2106, and there will not be any duplicate. And since we picked only one column, we know that it's a single value, and the type is string. We typecasted that as string. And in the second case, we are we were done with the aggregate, and the aggregate is count on traditional cooking, so it returned 3. So both are printed here. Alright, now you have an idea of how to use SqlCommand and execute some of the queries. So you can execute DML, DDL as well as select. When you are using select, it will return a data reader, especially when you make a execute reader method. And using the data reader, you can iterate through the rows of data. Alright, that's a list of job. Great. That's all here in this video. Thank you for watching. Bye.